I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Goodman, and we're here for another episode of Narcos Mexico Season 2, but we're going to discuss Episode 6. Joining me today, we have Liz, our Spanglish expert.
Hi everybody, how's it going?
And we've got Rob, our resident filmmaker.
Yes, keep making movies so I have something to do with my life, guys.
Be sure to stay tuned until the end because we're going to do a special segment for you. So be sure to stick around so you don't miss that. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Liz, what were your overall thoughts on episode 6?
It's pretty crazy how much things went on in this one too. So really like to see, the way that Felix is handling his business, and now that he has a motto, working for him and trying to, buy planes. That was cool. Crazy to see also the cartels killing each other's just friends, and like one of them was like a mariachi band, and I was like, oh my god, poor guys. So yeah, he laughs at that part.
I shouldn't be laughing at that part, but that's funny. The way you put it, not what happened, the way you said it.
Yeah, like it's pretty messed up that they start with the hand too. I was like, oh no, that's his instrumental hand.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I see Felix becoming more of a custodian now. He's starting to have to pull out his broom and dustpan and sweep up stuff. And there's things that happened that, that had to happen because it was part of the cleanup process for Felix.
Yeah.
But once again, it's his own mess. It's his own doing. So I'm glad to see him cleaning up his mess a little bit here.
I love that, the end of last episode, we heard that there was, we really started focusing on this presidential election. We heard that it was going to be a guy supporting Guerra. And then at the top of 6, we get to meet him as a little boy. Mm-hmm. And we had this whole situation where they didn't directly tell you that it was him or his brother, but they implied it later with the picture in the house of the brother. But
yeah, that was a good catch because I was like trying to ask you beforehand. I was like, wait, who were those kids?
Yeah, but like the fact it was very eerie. I kind of knew something like this was going to happen. They were like running around. It seemed like they had toy guns, but then it wasn't a toy gun.
Right.
And I think the thing to me is that the kid, he didn't even seem to care.
No, and he was more concerned on the fact that his mom is going to get mad at him for ruining her favorite carpet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of also showing just how the machismo had built onto him, like in a way, when he was a young kid, because he was mimicking, these like brave soldiers that you would call, but it's just the culture there, it just showed a little part of that like how kids possibly grew up with, violence. So
and this was 1951, so I mean we're used to seeing kids in that generation opening with toy guns mm-hmm. and running around and watching westerns, and that seems to fit the generation. Killing the person cleaning your home, that does not typically fit the generation.
No,
it doesn't. I feel like watching that though, I felt like that's not the first time that happened. Because the way he said it, he says, "Oh, that's mom's favorite rug. I'll let me handle her. I'll do all the talking."
Yeah.
And now these two have grown up, and one of them is going to be the president.
And the other is still the brother cleaning up the messes and handling all the business.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like, without even seeing who is who, my guess is that it was the little boy who actually did the shooting who was going to be running for president. Mm-hmm. So we kind of see that in the present with Felix going and trying to speak to the brother. Did you guys think that he was going to get very far with this?
No, the way that the brother was talking, he was just like very like, okay, what's your point? What's your deal? Because I like you're sugarcoating it too much. And once he told him like, I want to be your partner, a good, generous friend, he just was like, you know what? I don't need a friend, and we don't want to do business, and I hope that he called it like your hotel business goes great. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I think there's still a way for him to possibly get in with that brother later on. Maybe not in this season, but maybe in a future season. Just because the way that the conversation began, and there is a vice that was laid out there, and that was the thing with women. So I think there's a way for Felix to possibly get in. And also, since he is the brother who's handling the business, I mean, there may be a way for Felix to get in because clearly in this world, everybody has their price. So I could see something potentially happening between those two in a good way.
And that was the big thing. Oh, he's not going to take my money. He was very confused. What I noticed about it is that when the brother was talking about Guerra, he said, oh no, he's been in my family for a very long time. He's been there for me and my brother. I got the sense that the reason they showed us that clip of them being little kids and murdering somebody is because they were trying to imply that Guerra was already there and was a friend of the family, and that Guerra's always cleaned up their messes. And so they knew, like, if it had happened before, which I wouldn't be surprised, they knew that they were untouchable because they had somebody like Guerra in their pocket, and that I think to them has been how they've lived their lives, knowing that they are untouchable and that they can. There's nothing they can do that Guerra's not going to come in and basically swoop in as their dad, and not not biologically, but like father in a way, and help them out.
Yeah, what's sad too is that also you can see that even with this new president coming on board, it's still very corrupt because he is partnered with Guerra, and Guerra smuggles with the Gulf through the Gulf, but it's sad to know that there's no real president to trust even at that time in the 80s, so it's all gonna just go bad at that point.
Yeah, and the constant idea, that's one of the things I love about this show in general, is that they always tie in the narrative with the historical events of what was going on. And I love that they show that America was not innocent in all of this that was happening, and if anything, they sort of in a way fueled what was going on in Mexico. And to me, it's very fascinating to see these events play out, but then to kind of be brought back to reality and say, hey, here's what actually happened too.
Right.
Yeah. So we did get that whole conversation between Felix and I wrote the future president's brother. Just, optimistic here. And yeah, so Felix did not get what he wanted. But somebody who did get what he wanted, kind of, in this episode was Breslin.
Hey, for Breslin.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kind of go back a little bit. We know that Amato was put in charge of transportation of the coke for Felix. So now we're kind of seeing it play out, and we see Breslin going into this auction where Amato is trying to buy planes. What did you guys think of this moment?
You know what? When it was happening, when he's buying the planes, the fact that nobody else, around him in the auction, really cared or paid any attention to it, and Breslin is paying so much attention to it, shows that in this world, this kind of stuff, is the norm. Like some rich person coming here buying all this crazy stuff.
Six planes.
Yeah, 6 planes. That's a lot of planes. But the fact that Breslin and the guys are there just watching what's happening is really cool, because they're just there undetected, and so many people, and they're just doing their thing that no one pays them attention. And I really,
how last episode you're like, oh, a bunch of white guys just walking around, and again they're just a bunch of white guys just
and this time
around.
in Belize, everywhere, it's no one pays attention to them.
Yeah, and I'm so shocked that Amato didn't catch that, or maybe he did because he works very silently. Yeah.
Maybe.
Because we don't know yet if they've been spotted.
Yeah.
The thing that was weird to me was, one, that Breslin and everybody would just kind of show up, wouldn't be worried, would think that they'd be able to just fit right in. That was odd to me. And then the fact that I think that Amato probably does know something's up. I would guess that he would. He's pretty observant. So that was odd to me, that Amato would just buy 6 planes in public. I mean, I guess an auction is the only place where you're really going to go and do that. But then what was stranger to me is the tracking, how they were tracking the plane. And I feel like they were caught. And even though they don't know it yet, I think that somebody is very aware that Breslin was tracking Amato and the planes.
Yeah, I think this might backfire on them. Somehow they'll find out, and I don't know. I not to say prediction, but I do feel like that will backfire too.
It seems like it's happened a little bit too easy, for them. So that's one thing that I was looking at. But I don't know. Anything can happen in Narcos, Mexico.
Yeah. Well, I think what was weird to me is when they were tracking him, they lost him for a second, and then all of a sudden the plane came out of nowhere and the signal was back, and then hey, voila, there's the base. I'm concerned that this is a setup. They're out in the middle of nowhere. They don't have cell phones back then. So it's like, what do they even, I feel like it's a trap, and that the reason why they would have lost that signal, it's either because maybe the plane was just, right on top of them. So they lost it for that reason, or two, because whoever was flying the plane became very aware that they were being tracked.
Yeah, that like paused moment when they were like trying to figure out where that plane went.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe like I want to say they switched, the trackers somewhere else, but that's impossible. But when they found out like, where the base was, I was like really stoked to see them like, jump in, break in, and put the tracker. And like a little moment there, I was like afraid that they were going to get caught. But luckily they did put the tracker there, and now it's like for the next episode, I'm like curious to see like what's gonna happen. Like where, like are they gonna catch them, shipping the 70 tons of cocaine?
And that's the thing, is that all these little pieces are playing together. I mean, not only that, we know that Felix is under a lot of pressure. The 65,000 kilos of cocaine, like that's. I mean, the fact that Amada would even need the planes is because of that, and it's just. I think that they're setting us up to see how all of this unravels, and I just they know, like Breslin knows that Felix is involved. I'm just curious how they're actually going to when this showdown is going to actually commence with Felix. Yeah. So yeah, we have. Oh, sorry.
I'm interested to see where all this cocaine is going to go to. Who is going to take that? That's a lot of cocaine to come into America.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So where is this going to go?
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I did read an article about like, because I got curious and I was like, 70 tons cocaine, and I found out where it got shipped.
Oh.
So that's all I'll say.
So,
yes.
Well,
I just don't want to spoil the episode.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, they do tend to change things. So, yeah, but that's maybe on episode 8 we can discuss.
So, yeah, I'm curious to see, like, are they going to, like, dramatize it or something? But,
yeah. Because one of the things, and I had mentioned this a couple shows that we did, a couple previous shows ago, is that when I talked to the executive producer, he actually said that they did change things sometimes just to make the narrative fit, and to if it was in order to serve a good story, they would make that change. So and we've already seen a lot of things changing, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that article on the last episode to see how accurate it is. If they, I'm assuming they're gonna get to that point.
Yeah, that's what's cool about this Narcos season, that you get to like compare facts, with like dramatization. So it's like, okay, what did happen, and then it gets back to like just reading on history and then getting informed on what's going on and with the drug war.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Isabella and Enadina, because we're already talking about Guerra, and the big thing that happens here is not only there's so many different moving parts right now, and the thing with them is that now they've been propositioned to work with Guerra. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This could either go really badly for them, or they've picked the right side. What do you guys think?
So Guerra, I feel like he was right when he was saying, Felix is, a high-profiled, wanted guy. So Guerra would be like the guy that's, silently moving shipment. So he's like non-problematic. So I feel like with him, it can go great. But at the same time, like, he's got so much family that I don't know, I wouldn't want to risk, having anything go bad and then, have his family just get gunned down or something. So it could go left, it could go right. I don't know. Like, that's where I'm iffy.
I wouldn't trust Guerra if I were the ladies, because he has the president in his pocket now, and now he can do anything he wants.
Yeah.
If he wanted to, he could cut them out the same way he cut out Felix. He could, screw them over the same way, And now, he's older, so he's wiser with his power and the way he uses it. But still, I mean, given the time of what's going on in that country and how people are treated, you have these two people coming up with this little bit of cocaine, moving yeah, but someone like Guerra who's been moving stuff forever, I don't know. I wouldn't trust him if
Yeah.
I were those ladies.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the problem is it's not a secret. Like, as quiet as Guerra is, there are people that know, and it's going to get back to Felix one way or another. And even if it doesn't, it will get back to other people involved with Felix, including Benjamin. And that's the big thing to me, is not so much whether Felix comes down on her, but when Benjamin finds out, I think that's going to divide an actual family. And so that, to me, I mean, we saw a little bit with Benjamin. We've seen how he's just kind of been like just kind of like disrespecting her by acting like she has nothing better to do. And she even like sardonically said, "Oh, yeah, I've got a date."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and he believed it.
He did. I thought she was gonna just start laughing or something afterwards. But,
Yeah.
no, like then again, like it shows that she's really committed to her work. Like she doesn't even have time to date at this point.
Yeah, I just don't see someone like her dating. It just
No,
seems
honestly.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be afraid to date her. She's super powerful. If I did something wrong, she could have me killed like in a second. Like,
She's like the stereotype of girl that, you know, if you mess with her brothers, you know, or Hispanic families, you know, you'll get cut. Yeah, so that's just cool that you get to see, like, you know, she really does have like a lot of you know, strong men behind her.
Yeah. And kind of speaking, you know, kind of getting into Benjamin a little bit. When we saw him in this episode, he did find out, one, that that someone had tried to shoot him and kill him, which is making Felix now question, Benjamin question Felix and his power and like where he's actually sitting in all of this. But then also, as kind of like an aside, we learned that his daughter had a medical condition and might need to go. It will definitely has an appointment in San Diego, and obviously they wouldn't mention it if there wasn't a reason to mention this.
right.
So,
Yes.
Rob, what did you make of all of that?
I don't know. With that being mentioned, I'm thinking there's some way that some crime could come out of this whole San Diego trip. And I know, this person has nothing to do with it. It's just an innocent child. But still, in this world, anything is possible. So my mind is completely open for anything I would see at this point with this San Diego plant.
I mean, with everything else they're smuggling in, they could be smuggling things into the diapers, or
Who knows?
or like
Who
into whatever the baby carrier.
They might just use that trip to smuggle some more things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did just pay attention to how like so far there's a lot of parties that go on, and it just highlights how they do take their families out, and like they give them the most luxurious type of lifestyle. So I feel like it's cool to see how they do portray like Mexican parties, because that's all we do. We party so much, Like I grew up going to like so many quinceañeras, baptisms, a lot of those. So it's like, okay, now you get to see like the family side of them, and hearing how his daughter, could possibly die. It's nice to see like the family side aspect to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm thinking too that, well, one, with the parties, hearing all the 80s music and seeing the way that they dressed, I thought that definitely added like an extra, touch to the scene. But on top of that too, it could be that they're specifically mentioning the baby because something's going to happen where he's going to be in San Diego, and because he's on American soil, end up getting caught.
captured.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was almost wondering if that's why either him or, they would get Ruth, his wife, or just some leverage over him to make him come clean, or to get him to cross onto the other side and, figure out what's going on, just for more leverage, because we know that right now, we have like, Breslin trying to continue with this case, but he's not getting any support from the government anymore.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
he's at the point of trying anything too. Remember, like the way that they used to do things the right way, and now they're doing it in the way of the Narcos.
yeah.
So who knows with Breslin what he's able to try.
Yeah, and that's, it's interesting having Calderoni on too, because obviously he is not against doing things in very, untypical ways. Yeah.
In ways where you will get the truth out and everything. But with Calderoni, I don't trust him.
Me either.
Yeah, I just don't trust him. I just feel like there's a reason why he's giving so much information to the DEA agents. And I mean, he is right in some areas where it's like, things just can't happen the way you think they're going to happen.
Right.
Like there's going to be death. Like, there really is.
And we saw some of the DEA agents actually leave when he came on because they didn't trust him either. And they didn't know, it's hard because you can't, a guy like that, like even the first moment that we meet him, the fact that there's a gun involved and that there's, this is not a guy that you really can trust. So I think that might be one of the reasons why this all goes south for them. And there's so few, there's only such a small team, and they're not even being supported by, America at this point. So it's kind of like I feel very concerned for them.
Isn't he the reason why it went south for them in season 1 too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be different this time. I don't know. I'm getting like the double agent vibe from him, like any spy movie. You got the guy who's playing both sides, but what's in it for him? That's besides family and life. What's in it for him?
Yeah.
Because I know he's well taken care of now.
Yeah.
So what is it for him? That's a question for me.
So, just one other thing to mention before we, we'll talk about Kochi because that was
tragic.
So Felix, okay, here's the thing with Felix. We had the conversation between Benjamin and Felix where Benjamin actually had the upper hand and was like, you need to fix this. And it actually, for once, we actually saw him like coming out on top. Yeah. So then Felix steps in, and the little that he tries to do to get these two families to, be on the same page, it results in Kochi's death. Mm-hmm. So if Felix had any respect as a leader, it just went out the door.
Yeah, I think this is for sure the final straw for the cartels. And then where at the end too, where you see Guero, which is Palma, just like not even eating his dinner with his wife. He's just there, like, I feel like just the look of avenging, for Kochi Loco.
Yeah.
It's tragic to see that Benjamin did win, and now that Kochi Loco is dead, like, it's going to just spark more rivalry,
Yeah. And it's interesting for me because as we've been watching, I've been looking up the real people. Mm-hmm. So some of it is I'm watching and I know what actually happens. Mm-hmm. And so I know, like, I don't want to spoil this in case they end up doing the same thing, but there's like another character, a major character who dies on, the Felix family side. And I feel like it's all stemming from, one Kochi dies, now somebody else on the other side is going to die, and it's just there is no resolving this tension at all. So it's the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think?
And his name was Palma, right? The boss of
Yes.
It's his fault that Kochi is dead because
one guy.
Yeah, but the fact that he let he knew what they were doing was wrong by building that tunnel under TJ. Like, that's a line that you can't cross, and he knew that. So it is his fault, and that's why I think when Felix came down on him and explained this is the way that it has to be, and this is my way of fixing your mess. Yeah, I think it had to be done that way. It reminded me of, like, I know we spoke about The Godfather in early episodes, but yes, this is a move that, like, okay, like, well, yeah, like when Michael Corleone let Fredo go out on his own. That's what it had to happen that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's pretty crazy too how, like, you're referencing a Godfather, the crazy ways that now they're killing, like with what is that, like some type of machine,
the steamroller.
Yes, that was crazy.
and he had like
all the murder.
I couldn't believe they used the steamroller.
And it was so, like, he didn't even care. It was like a mwahaha moment when he's like,
yeah.
And he's like, clean this up.
Clean up. Yeah.
See, that's the humorous part of Kochi Loco that I love to see. So I'm so sad that he got murdered on this episode.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but it's well, more murder to come. Spoiler
Yes.
alert.
And more after that, probably.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about before we get to our special segment is just that ending moment where Felix went to visit Maria. And we see that he's been kind of, not stalking, but just kind of watching her from afar.
Yeah, like
Yes.
when he went to go visit the kids in school, like from afar. That was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I
She
love
did
how she
catch
saw
on.
him.
Yeah, she got onto that.
Even with her glasses, he looks and he's like, his eyes widen. I'm like, oh yeah, she definitely saw you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like towards the end too, like when he like tells his driver no, I'll drive, and then he drives himself to the house. It's just pretty sad to see. Like he misses his family,
Yeah.
but he caused this. You know,
Yep.
he brought this on himself. Now he wants his good thing back, but she's just like not giving in. She's like, get out of my house. And I'm like, yes, I stand for that. Don't take him back, girl.
Yeah.
And people are
Yeah.
talking. People are talking. So everything, all the stupid thing, well, not stupid. And it weren't stupid, and it wasn't stupid in his mind. But the decision that Felix makes, I know they're getting back to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because if he was like a model citizen or just doing plain old business, the door may be open. But the DEA agent, that definitely got back to her. She wants nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that. And then now, even just hearing, oh, he's on the downfall, like she probably is hearing, from just rumors in general that he is just unraveling, and that probably the only reason he wants to come back is because he's close to losing everything that he's built. And so I'm just imagining that she's in a place where she's like, no, I'm not letting this guy come back just because he's in a bad place, and I'm not putting up with what he did to me. So it's just I appreciate her character just standing firm on that, especially with her saying, oh no, I don't want you near my kids either. And his involvement with because who wants to allow kids to see a crime lord like that?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's raising them right,
Yeah.
honestly. I love to see that part and the family aspect.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, though, Felix might just swing, her around and try to, at least, get her around. But I think she will. I don't know why. I just feel like, it's hard for when women, let go of such a, love like that. But Felix, his love life is complicated because you also see, like, that he still talks to his other baby mama.
And he's living with Daniela, right?
He has
like-
too much going on.
He does. He's so messy, and like his business life and his love life. It sucks to see him like just go through all this.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts on the episode before we move to our topic?
You guys first.
Final thoughts. I do like to see Just and Adina and Isabella, working hand in hand, and how they got to go to Colombia and make more deals. And I think it's kind of cool too how he was telling them that this Mexico's changing, and now there's tension with the cartels. So finding out that Guerra is now shipping for the Cali cartel, or what is the Colombians also. So I think it's cool that he was like, this is exclusive. We're exclusive. So I like that he established that he's not gonna go back on his word with them.
Yeah.
So he's making great business deals there. Yeah.
I think I like with Guerra, like now that he's consolidating like the power, it seems like he's taking all the power. It has me thinking what happens, because he's an older man. So if he were to die, I don't know, let's say of a heart attack or something like that, not even being killed by someone, but like natural causes, what would happen to that region?
Yeah.
What would happen? Because he's now the new power guy. If the power guy goes, who's going to take over?
I'm sure he has a son or, some person who would
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're as strong like he is.
Yeah,
I think it's
like
different.
he's built different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, though. I agree. But I think that's a good place for us to talk about our segment, which is, Rob, would you like to take it away?
Yes. So our segment today.
Our favorite moment of Narcos.
My favorite moment was when Kochi was killed. Because
He loves murder.
yes, I do love murder, but it's the filmmaking aspect. Okay, so we see Kochi being shot from multiple directions. We stay on Kochi, but then we switch over, and who do we switch over to? Ramon with this childish look in his eyes, seeing that the task is done, doesn't break eye contact with it until the van starts to drive away. And I think that's really important because we've seen how he has changed since smoking the crack, and how things are less serious to him than others. And we see it with shooting the fish in the park with the children, and to see it come full circle with the death of all these people, and then Kochi being the icing on that murderous cake. I think we see now who Ramon is. Ramon is in his final form. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And Liz, what's your favorite?
My favorite part is Amato just buying the planes, kind of just making moves and getting, such great connections to where now their shipment can be shipped faster, and now that they own more planes, like it's such a big business. What's kind of cool is that they're creating jobs, but at the same time it's just blood money. So
Yeah.
I like just seeing how also Breslin finds their location and possibly might be getting in a set up trap right there.
Yeah, I'm so concerned about that too.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what's going to go next. Yeah. What about you?
My favorite part is in the very beginning of the episode where we saw the two kids and the one little kid shot the woman cleaning the home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so another murderous moment. And I loved it because it was such a contrast. You don't expect little kids to be involved in something like that. And two, so even if they had accidentally shot someone, you would expect this to elicit a deeper reaction. But I think what really stood out to me is that a child would shoot someone and not care. And it would just, there would be no expression on their face. So I loved that moment in terms of, just how powerful it was to see. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps up our show on some amazing music.
Yes, I love this.
Rob, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Rob Stilo. That's STEELO.
And me at California on Instagram.
Awesome. And I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter at Rach Goodman or on my author Instagram account at Rachel Radner Author. Until next time, everybody, we hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.